Overpaying for anything sucks, especially socks, so why pay $45 for a single pair of grip socks when you can spend less than half? Pure Grip Socks Pro feature our best materials for optimal fit, moisture wicking, and performance at a fair price, just $16.99 a pair at puregripsocks.com.
For as long as I can remember, the first takedown model in the Nike Tiempo series has always been an amazing value for money option, and the current Tiempo Legend 9 Pro at $130 is no different. For $100 less than the top end Elite model, it shares a lot in common, and it kind of makes you question whether or not the Elite is even worth the money in the first place. That is until now, because it has some competition from a very unlikely competitor in New Balance. The 442 version 2 Pro, retailing for the same $130, is arguably every bit as good as the Legend 9 Pro, if not better, with the incorporation of kangaroo leather in the forefoot and toe box area, and an overall construction that is lighter than most top-end speed boots. I know it's New Balance and it's not everyone's first choice, but in terms of what you're actually getting for the money, this is a very impressive product. Without a doubt, I can strongly recommend either of these two football boots. If you're on a budget and looking for something with a leather upper, there is no bad choice here, but as I'm sure you now want to know, which one is actually better? Well, I'm gonna do my best to answer that question for you as we compare the New Balance 442 and the Tiempo Legend 9 Pro. Is one just straight up better than the other, or do they excel in different areas, ultimately concluding which one would be best for you? So if you're interested in learning more, please stick around and watch the entire comparison. And if you are interested in either of these two boots for yourself, you can pick them up below their normal retail prices by way of some exclusive SR4U coupon codes by checking out the links down below. And as always, guys, if you do enjoy the video and want to see more comparisons on the channel, please don't forget to support it with a like, and make sure you're subscribed along with hitting that little bell notification so you don't miss out on my reviews of all the latest football boots of 2022. What's great about the Legend 9 Pro is the amount of leather that you get on the upper. While it's calfskin and not kangaroo leather like you're gonna find on the top end Elite and on the New Balance 442, what you do get from a quality perspective is something that's really nice. And honestly, once broken in, the leather of course is going to soften up even more. It doesn't feel that different from the kangaroo leather found on the much more expensive variation. Also, the amount of leather is something that can't be denied. Everything in this dark burgundy color is entirely made of leather, and you do get the addition of the memory foam inserts as well as these texture dots that do provide a little bit of a dampening sensation, mainly in the forefoot and certainly here in the midfoot, although I don't necessarily think it's a performance enhancer, just a little bit of a change up in terms of the feel. But I do love the fact that the entire medial side of the foot is made from leather. As far as extra grip is concerned though, they really don't feel that much different compared to other leather football boots. It kind of just has that slicker overall finish that comes with the territory of leather boots in general. Where the New Balance 442, in my opinion at least, does beat out the Legend 9 Pro in terms of overall leather quality, in that through the forefoot and toe box area, you are getting kangaroo leather, something that is typically reserved for top end models, but you're getting here at that $130 price point, and honestly, it feels incredibly premium, super soft, really comfortable, amazing feel for the ball, and again, something that legitimately feels like it would be on a $200+ pair of football boots. It's not all positive though, because you can very clearly see the transition point between leather and a different material. When I initially reviewed the New Balance 442 version 2, it was in the limited edition gold colorway, where it would appear that New Balance actually used leather through the midfoot, where on regular colorways like I'm holding right here, the midfoot is made from a synthetic material, some form of microfiber that feels leather-like in a lot of ways, but isn't quite as premium as that limited edition gold colorway. I wouldn't necessarily say that it's a deal breaker, but in terms of the amount of leather that you get, there is less here on the 442, but what you do get is definitely more premium. Nonetheless, I don't think that the synthetic material feels bad by any means, and if anything, it means that it's not going to stretch quite as much. And honestly, with the synthetic midfoot, the boots do feel a little bit more secure and slightly more responsive than they otherwise would be. So if you're worried about overstretching, having this synthetic through the midfoot rather than the full leather upper of the Tiempo might work to your benefit. Now this might seem like a minor thing, but it actually plays a pretty big role in terms of your experience with the football boots, where the New Balance 442 features a more traditional U-throat and standalone tongue construction. Laces run nice and deep through the middle, but the tongue itself does kind of stand on its own, meaning that when you tie the laces tight, you can really open up these football boots, making them significantly easier to put on and take off when compared to the Tiempo. Again, just kind of a more traditional take on a pair of football boots. Most boots nowadays do feature a one-piece upper construction, and I also love the fact that they do give you that additional lace hole, where if you do feel like your heel is slipping ever so slightly, you can utilize that lace hole. It grabs your foot from a slightly further back position, and it tends to hold your foot in place more securely than what would otherwise be possible. Where the Tiempo, while it looks very traditional, central lacing system, single lace hole setup, this microfiber, or I guess mesh material running through the midfoot, is actually fixed on either side, giving you a one-piece enclosure. It doesn't allow for a lot of expansion at the opening, and it kind of gives the boot a little bit more of a predetermined shape than a standard U-throat construction would allow for. It's not that the fit is bad. I would actually argue that I prefer the shape of the Tiempo out of the box when compared to the New Balance, but long-term, once broken in, I just feel like there's better adjustability on offer from this more traditional construction. While I don't necessarily think anyone buys these types of football boots expecting or wanting a super lightweight feel, but both of these boots are actually surprisingly light, and there is a difference between them. Both in a size 9.5 US. We'll start off with the Legend 9 Pro. They weigh in at 7.4 ounces, the equivalent of 210 grams, which falls into the same weight range as most top-end models these days. Change the scale back to ounces, and we'll throw on the New Balance 442, and you can see that they weigh in at 6.8 ounces, the equivalent of 192 grams, which might not seem like a significant weight difference, but these are noticeably lighter, and if you're comparing them to other options out there, they are 1 gram off the weight of a pair of Nike Mercurial Vapor 14 Elites, which is incredibly impressive considering that this looks absolutely nothing like a pair of speed boots. This is an area where I think it's more about personal preference than anything, and if we're talking just about sole plates, I prefer the feel of the one on the New Balance 442, and if we're just talking about stud patterns, I prefer the one on the Tiempo, where you have the extra stud along the edges, 4 rather than 3, and then the bladed studs in the heel. I just like how that feels underfoot a little bit more, but again, I think the sole plate in general has a nicer combination of flexibility while also feeling solid on the New Balance 442. It just feels that little bit more premium in my opinion. Nonetheless, traction from both is really solid, and I don't think you'd be unhappy regardless of which one you went for. For being two football boots that follow more or less the same concept, they do have a very different feel from each other on feet, where I would say the Tiempo does feel very modern Tiempo, in that with that kind of mock one-piece upper construction, they feel tight, they have more structure to them, they're definitely a little bit firmer out of the box. That changes after some wear time, where the New Balance 442 has a more traditional feel, mainly because of that tongue and U-throat construction, where, dare I say, it kind of has a more old school Tiempo feel when compared to the modern Legend 9 Pro, which at the end of the day is very much a personal preference thing, but in terms of overall comfort, I find the New Balance 442 a little bit more comfortable overall. From a width perspective, there's definitely more width and adjustability with the 442 because of that U-throat construction, and it's also available in a wide fit variation, unlike the Tiempo, which is definitely not a narrow fitting football boot. They will work for most people, but it's definitely more snug, especially through the midfoot. And as far as sizing is concerned, I'm wearing both of these in my usual size 9.5 US, and the fit and the length is perfect. So whether you're going for Nike or New Balance, I would strongly recommend going true to size in order to achieve the best possible fit. So which one is better? And I don't think there's a true answer to that question. However, I am going to pick which one I like best. And I think that's the key word in this, in that everyone is gonna have different preferences, and it's the reason why we went through all the details. If there's something about the Tiempo that I said that sounds really good to you that wasn't on the New Balance, it might be the one you prefer out of these two, and vice versa. But for me, I just prefer the more traditional construction, fit, and feel of the New Balance 442. I find it more comfortable for those reasons in particular. I love the feel of the kangaroo leather, and also the lightweight feel of this football boot is something that's really, really impressive to me, especially considering how comfortable they are. It's something that feels old school, but also very modern at the same time. And again, given the choice between these two, as much as I love the Tiempo Legend 9 Pro, for the same amount of money, I think New Balance would be my choice. So yeah, New Balance over Nike. Oh, don't mind me, I'm just looking for flying pigs.